Hey guys, I know that it's been a really long time since I posted my last video, but I just got really busy with school. I finished up my clinical years, and I'm pretty happy to say that in the next few weeks I will officially be a doctor. So hopefully, as time progresses and I get some new pens in, I will be able to share those with you guys and review them, and hopefully, help some people out when it comes to choosing some new pens or new products. Um, but that being said, I am breaking this long silence streak. Because today I received a very special pen that I have wanted for quite some time, and it was a gift for my graduation from somebody who's very special to me. So that makes it even more, important to me. But it is the Pilot Custom 912 with the Falcon nib that has been reground by John Madashaw for Spencerian writing. Now, before we get into all of the specifics, please feel free to leave any comments or questions that you have about this pen, or if you have any experiences with it. The reason why I really wanted to make this video is because I was looking for more information myself on this pen, and particularly this nib, but there really weren't many videos out there about the Spencerian regrind and whether it was a good substitute for something, say, like the Leonard nib, which is, in my opinion, kind of the gold standard workhorse for Spencerian style writing. So I want to make one. I want to make a video so that you guys can see it in action. And if you are avid pen enthusiasts or hopeful Spencerian calligraphers, you'll be able to say whether or not this pen is appropriate for you. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Again, this is the video for the Pilot Custom 912 with the Spencerian grind on the Falcon nib. So I made this purchase from Nibs.com, and one of their Nibmeister there, John Madashaw, he is pretty well known for doing a Spencerian regrind. They offer it on a lot of different pens. However, the Pilot Custom 912 is particularly suited because of their Falcon nibs that come on the pen. And basically, these Falcon nibs, as you'll see, have little semicircles cut out of the nib, which add extra flexibility. And then when you are trying to do Spencerian writing, you really need a needle point. And so on this particular video, I actually want to show this pen, the regrind, next to a normal Falcon nib, which I have on another pen. And then I'm also going to show you guys what it looks like next to a Leonard dip pen. So you can see, well, what does it compare? How does the grind compare to a normal Falcon nib, and how does it compare to the gold standard Leonard nib for Spencerian writing? And I will just start out by saying that it's a pretty darn nice pen. It is very nice to write with, and a lot of the problems I had with the Falcon nib, unmodified Falcon nib, are not present in this regrind. I think that Mr. Madashaw did a fantastic job on my pen, and like every other experience I've had with Nibs.com, they have sent me a really wonderful product. So yeah, let's talk about the pen. Given that the Pilot Custom isn't one of their top of the line pens, the box is really not that fancy compared to some of the other pens that I've received from Pilot. It is generally, depending on where you buy it from, it ranges about $200. The Spencerian modification does add a little over $100 to the pen purchase, 100 and change. But if you're looking for something, a fountain pen that can do true Spencerian writing, then this is really the one that does it. In my opinion, there may be others out there. And if you guys know of any, let me know. I'd love to check those out too. So very basic box, nibs.com logo. And on this side, it just says, you know, Pilot, Custom 912. It's in black rhodium, Falcon Nibs Spencerian customization. So the pen box slips out. Again, it is just a very basic box, but really the good stuff is on the inside of the box, right? So it looks like we just have, you know, kind of this imitation leather on the outside of the pen box, a clear see-through window, the pen on the inside, which is secured using a simple elastic band, and the inside comes out completely with the pen in it. And then underneath the pen there, you can pull it up on the bottom and you're left with the guide, and it also came with just a normal refill, which I don't use since I use a converter and I fill it with my own ink. So nothing special about the box. Let's talk about the pen. That's where the good stuff is. So the Pilot Custom 912 is a decent sized pen. Not the biggest pen that's in my collection, and definitely not the smallest. I'd say it's kind of a mid-range pen as far as size goes, and also kind of price, I think. You know, if you're looking for a nice pen with a gold nib and, you know, even with flex, you are, if you want it with a gold nib specifically, the price is just going to be more expensive than a steel nib would be. So the body on this pen is a black resin or plastic, essentially. It has a very nice shine to it. It is accented with this rhodium colored accents, including a clip and the band, and then a smaller band at this end of the pen. The clip is really sturdy. If you're going to be attaching it securely, it's a very strong clip. So if you want to put it in a pocket, completely fine. It's not going to go anywhere. Sometimes I'm concerned when I am carrying a fountain pen around and I put it in like my pants or my shorts pocket, because I'm just afraid that it's going to fall out, and nobody wants to lose a pen that costs $200 or more. Or even a pen that's less than that. I mean, if you like your fountain pen, you like your fountain pen, and you don't want to lose it. It's yours. And I have lost them before, so I just don't want that to happen to me again. So as you can see, very, very sleek looking pen. It is, like I said, it's decent size when capped. So as you can see, it hangs over the edge of where my thumb and my first finger meet. It's relatively light. It's actually, given that it's made out of resin, it's not a heavy pen. So if you're somebody who gets kind of fatigued after writing for a while with a heavy pen, I think that this is going to be nice for you. But it is balanced nicely in the sense that when you are writing with it, it doesn't feel too light, like it's going to get away from you or anything like that. And the balance really does rest, particularly when it's posted almost right at that junction, that first interdigital space right there. And so this is a pen that I would definitely write with capped, posted, excuse me. And that's just because I, for my particular hands, I feel more comfortable a lot of times when they are posted and it sets nicely in the groove. However, I could very easily see this pen being used uncapped as well, particularly if you have smaller hands and that's just your writing style. I'm not as concerned, since this isn't made out of a ruchy lacquer or anything, or it's not like a maquille. I'm not super concerned about having this posted. I expect there may be a few, dings in the pen or minor scratches, and that will be fine. So, moving on, I've still left the sticker on this just because I kind of like it. It's just the Pilot FA nib sticker. But let's take a look at the nib. So as you can see, like I mentioned before, the nib has these little grooves cut in it on the side, and it essentially adds to the flexibility of the nib when you press on it. And so it's got these little notches right here on both sides, and when you add pressure to it, it allows the tines to spread. Now, a lot of nibs that are made out of gold will have, particularly if they're like 14 karat, they'll have a lot of spring to the nib. So while it may not be a flex nib, if you add a little pressure, the tines will separate and it'll lay down a thicker line. But it's been very hard to find a pen that is like the old-fashioned vintage nibs that they used for proper penmanship back in the day. They just haven't been able to come out with a nice replacement for them, unfortunately. I'd say that this nib is probably one of the closest equivalents for that. And so, even though I bought this in the Falcon nib, keep in mind that the 912 really does have quite a big range of nibs that it can come with. For example, it comes with the normal, fine, medium, broad, but it also comes with like a music nib and a Waverly nib and just, what is it, like a medium, soft medium, soft fine, which would be semi-flex, but without the semicircles cut out. So whether you want this particular nib or not, maybe you're more suited to writing with the broad nib, the 912 does have that option. And so there's really a nib for almost everybody's preference. But since the money in this one, in this case, is for the nib, that's what I really want to show you guys today. So a lot of this review is going to really focus on the writing aspect of this pen, rather than just describing the body and what it looks like. I will say that this pen comes with the large Pilot converter, and I think that that's important considering that there's a lot of flexing in Spencerian. So you will be using some ink, and if you're doing copper plate, then you're going to be using even more ink, because that particular style flexes on every downstroke, and it's a pretty wide flex, and so it lays down quite a bit of ink. But you get the large converter, the Pilot converter with it, and so you're able to kind of keep writing really nicely for quite some time. Nothing really remarkable about the feed. Pretty standard that comes with a lot of the Pilot pens on this particular this particular range of pen. But yeah, let's just the nib itself says Pilot, and then it says 14 karat, and then 585 for the gold, and then it says 10 FA meaning Falcon. And so let's take one more look at that before we pop into the writing sample. So again, you can see that the nib, it's got those beautiful kind of semicircles cut out of both ends. And I'm not sure how well the camera will focus on this in particular, but in this case, you can see that it is a very fine point that John Modishaw has reground this to. Now, I'm not sure, let me see if I have my other Falcon available here. I do. So in comparison, let's put these side by side here. So this is the new pen right here, and this is the normal non-modified Falcon pen, Falcon nib. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the difference, but you can actually I can. I don't know about you guys, but you can see that the unmodified one has like a very big ball on the tip of it. Excuse me, this guy. It has a very big ball almost on the tip of it, right on the tip, compared to this particular pen. My first Falcon is, gold, whereas the new Falcon that I'm reviewing today is the white gold. And so there is a difference. There's a pretty remarkable difference actually between the two nibs. You can tell almost immediately that they are different sizes and that this has certainly been reground to a needle point, which is necessary for Spencerian writing. So, all right, that is the quick review, and please feel free to check out the writing samples, which I will show you guys now. All right, so now we are going to test everything out. I have the new Spencerian, the Pilot Custom 912 with the Spencerian Regrind. And I have the, like I said, the workhorse nib, the Leonard Extra Fine Principal nib, and just a standard nib holder. And I also have the other, this is my other Pilot that has the FA nib as well, that has not been reground to the Falcon, or to the Spencerian nib. I'm going to be using some of this Life writing paper. I think it works really well for any type of flex nib or heavy ink flow type of pen that you're going to be using. It's a really good paper and all. So let's check it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with the non-Spencerian regrind, the normal Falcon nib that has had no modifications. Pretty drastic difference, as you'll come to see. So here we go. Very thick line, not suitable for Spencerian. So I'm not going to write a ton of stuff considering that we've got a couple of pens to use. As you can see, very thick line. The flex is okay. My problem has always been that there's a lot of hard starts on this pen, unfortunately. I just inked this right now, so it's probably still very wet. But it just doesn't really keep up all the time, which is something that really bothered me about this pen. The line is, I don't even know if I would call it really a fine. It's thicker than a normal fine would be. But here's some cross hatches, and our flex there. So now let's compare it to the Spencerian regrind on the Custom 912. Already you can tell a major difference. Very fine hairline. I don't know what that was, but if you heard it, then So as you can see, very fine hairline, much different from above. The pen that was used above, which just laid down a massive line. This is much more suitable to Spencerian writing. Which really does need that fine hairline and nice flex. So very fine hairlines. We'll do a crosshatch. That wasn't a skip, I just came off the page. And yet lays down very, I'd say that this is even more, and I know it is, I'd say that this is even more flexible than the Falcon nib that's unmodified, because I believe that he does add flex to the already flexible pen. Keep in mind that if you are just starting out, this is not the pen that you're going to want to get, simply because you can spring this nib very easily. So I would suggest getting used to writing with a dip pen first, since those are disposable. Even trying out the Leonard first, because if you spring this nib, then it's very hard to get back, and you're going to have to send it off for modification. So yeah, get used to writing it, know how much pressure it takes, because you don't want to ruin this pen, definitely. So there's that in action. Very beautiful hairline, like I said, much more suited for Spencerian writing. So let's take a look at the Leonard nib now. While the Leonard nib, what I've noticed is that it is a little bit finer than this. It's not near, it's one of the smoothest of the dip pens, but it's not nearly as smooth as the custom Regrind was. It was almost without any scratch or catch at all. So let's check out this guy now, the Leonard nib. Very different writing experience. Very scratchier, a lot scratchier. I'm having to hold this a little bit awkwardly because for filming purposes. So I apologize if my handwriting is sloppy. Not my normal writing stance. And of course, one of the downsides of a dip pen is that it runs out of ink. And so that one line and we're almost out. Whereas the really large converter that's in the Pilot allows you to keep writing for quite some time. Now we're out of ink, so we have to reload. And we're out of ink again, so let's reload. So you can see why it would be beneficial to have a fountain pen. Do I think that this can replace Leonard nibs altogether? No. There's a lot of pointed penmanship that I do using like these fine tech things, these watercolor fine techs. There's no way that that could go in the Pilot pen. You have to use a Leonard or another nib for that. And I think that for really fine types of calligraphy, smaller letters, I still think that the Leonard would be better. But I think as just like a normal everyday writer, I think it's okay. I really like it. So that's our Leonard extra fine principle. Nib. All right, you guys. So as you can see, that is our 3 comparisons. This was our normal Falcon nib, very thick lines, still does have flex. I did have some problems with it in the past. This is the Spencerian Regrind, which I am still getting used to writing with that rather than writing with the Leonard nib, so I apologize for the sloppy writing. As you can see, beautiful hairline, especially when compared to the Leonard nibs, you know, almost very similar. Just as nitpicky kind of details go, I noticed that when you're springing back, when you're letting up on your pressure, in the Leonard, it springs back a lot quicker. I feel like the Pilot Custom with a 24 karat nib, and the Spencerian Regrind, it's a lot softer, so I'm having to kind of modify the way that I write with that. As you can see, this should be a hairline down here, and even though I was letting go of the pressure, it's still so soft that it doesn't make a perfect L right here. And then whereas in some of our other things, in our other letters, when we get down, it's with the Leonard nib, it's just a much nicer hairline towards the base like it should be. So you will have to modify kind of the way that you write with this fountain pen when as compared to writing with the Leonard dip nibs, but it really can do quite a bit of things, and I'm very impressed with it. And I have a feeling that I am going to be using it often. So yeah, please feel free. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments. I will try and upload another video later where I really show this pen at work. Maybe just, you know, writing a letter to somebody or something, so that you can really see it in action. But I think that this page in and of itself really does speak for itself, and I'm glad that you guys clicked on it, and I'm glad that I was finally able to share a decent review of the Spencerian Regrind. All right, see you guys next time.